Today's Dallas Cowboys Report is made possible by Aura. They offer all-in-one digital safety for you and your whole family. Start a free 14-day trial that you can cancel at any time when you head over to aura.com/chatsports. That link, by the way, is going to be in the comments section and in the description of today's video. We begin with Von Miller, after Von again spoke about how, he was open to joining the Cowboys, which we've talked about before, but there are some new elements to this. He says he would have taken less to come to the Cowboys because they're the Cowboys, but Dallas wasn't close enough on a deal. He would have taken less, but not way less, to join the Cowboys. Now, there have been previous reports of Dak Prescott had been recruiting him more than the Cowboys were, and Von had interest. He asked about joining Dallas. He expressed interest. The Cowboys showed some. We never knew how far things got. If Von is telling the truth here, we now know that the offer from Von Miller was what the Randy Gregory offer was. Now, I've got the two contracts side by side here, so let me just break down. We'll spend time on this one. So, one more year for Von Miller, 5-year deal versus 6-year. More total money, $70 million over the 5 years versus 120. The average difference there is 14 compared to 20. So that's $6 million more per year for Von Miller. The guaranteed money, though, is $28 million versus 51.44. What I want to focus in on here is the quote-unquote 3-year value, where both of those players had outs in their deals from a team perspective after 3 years. If Von had taken the Cowboys offer, the one that went to Gregory, 3 years, $42 million. On his current deal with the Bills, it's 3 years, $52.47. So we're talking about a difference that's not $6 million per year, like the total contract reflects, but a lot closer to $3.5 million per year. That is very, very doable for Von Miller. But it also reflects this mindset from the Cowboys. They had budgeted, quote-unquote, this amount of money for Randy Gregory. Well, maybe we'll just offer it for Von Miller as well. So that's the two differences in the contracts there. And that is a big enough difference for Von Miller, who I'm sure looked more at the $20 million per year price tag than the 3-year outside of it. Here's what Von said, quote, "I told them I was ready to come to the Cowboys. I would have taken less to go to Dallas because it's Dallas, but I wouldn't have taken that much less." Don't let the Cowboys fool you. They could have offered more if they wanted to. They simply did not want to do so. And the way I think it should be looked at is, hey, is the extra $10+ million over the first 3 years, was that worth it for Von Miller relative to Randy Gregory? If you think it was, then the Cowboys made a mistake. If they did not, if you don't think he was worth it for that, not the full 6-year deal, but focus on the 3-year side, since that's when the out is and when the Bills might cut him anyway, then it was a mistake. So I want to hear from you guys. Did the Cowboys make a mistake with Von Miller in terms of the way they went about that and the offer that they make? It is fine to go either way. That's a lot of money for an older player. I get all of that. So I want to hear from you guys. Did the Cowboys make a mistake with Von Miller? Why for yes and for no? This is the pinned comment on today's show. If the ad break comes, it's perfect timing. Head down there and type your answers for me. Let's talk Anthony Barr now, to the rumor side of things, since Von Miller's new, since he's the one who said it. 2 stars on Barr to the Cowboys. I do still think this is possible. The Cowboys website, not the fake David Hellman Twitter account, by the way, discussed adding Anthony Barr, which we'll get to Nick Eatman's quote, which I have some question marks there. There have been previous reports linking Barr to Dallas if the contract is cheap enough. A great note from Brian Broaddus on his podcast with Bobby Bell the other day, that Barr wanted $11 million per year earlier this offseason. Absolutely not. Anthony Barr is maybe barely worth half of $11 million. I think the $11 million is a raise over his previous deal, so I get why he might ask for that. No, you're not paying Barr $11 million. You shouldn't be paying him more than $5 or so, even on a 1-year deal. So do you think, we'll go more in depth on this momentarily, but do you think the Cowboys will sign Anthony Barr? Y for yes, N for no. Will the Cowboys actually, this should be D for deal, ND for no deal. We'll just verbalize it that way. What do you think happens? Let me know in the comments section. Here's what Nick Eatman, the Cowboys.com writer, wrote. I get the sense Anthony Barr is still on the table, but I see him as more of a pass rusher. And after the offseason we've seen from Sam Williams, I think the Cowboys will continue to see what he's got in training camp. Nothing is off limits right now, and linebacker depth is still rather thin. But the last thing they want to get is a progress stopper and someone that might prevent a young player from developing. I don't see it as a major issue right now, but something to monitor for sure. The first part, I think, is Eatman sourcing stuff from what he's heard. I get the sense on the table. But Anthony Barr is not a pure pass rusher. Now, there was a point coming out of UCLA when he grew to a deal with the Jets that, hey, maybe he could play more edge. He's blitzed some. He's been a lesser version of the Micah Parsons role if he can blitz for you. But as he ages, you're not going to give him more reps at edge. That's not really a thing teams do. Barr is not a pure pass rusher. And Eatman's right to say that edge probably isn't a big-time concern right now for the Cowboys. They've got Tank Lawrence, Dorrance Armstrong, Sam Williams flashed plenty at OTAs and minicamp. They added Dante Fowler, Terrell Basham, and of course you're going to continue to utilize Micah Parsons as that hybrid edge linebacker. But if you want a depth piece who could also contribute some as an edge, Barr makes sense. I would like to bring in Anthony Barr as linebacker depth because right now, I don't think the Cowboys have great depth. Obviously, you've got Micah in that hybrid role, and you want him to rush the passer. I don't think you're going to sign Barr to make Parsons a full-time off-ball backer. That makes no sense. Van Der Esch has had a history of injury problems. He's cheap. I am excited about a Jabril Cox breakout season. Luke Gifford's a core special teamer. Everybody else is either injured or a total unknown. So what you might see happen is this. Maybe the Cowboys get, just like last year with safety, they get through a couple days of camp and go, yeah, we need to find a way to get Anthony Barr or get some linebacker help. They are simply too thin at this particular point. Like that's the route they need to go. Barr is a good football player. Like that is a very, very key thing as it relates to the depth. And he's not the prime guy he was at his absolute best. I think injuries have really begun to add up for Anthony Barr, but I think he can help. I think he can contribute from that standpoint. So I'm down for Barr as cheap veteran linebacker depth, but I ain't going to pay him that much money, nor should the Cowboys. Now, today's show is presented by Aura. They offer financial fraud protection, identity theft protection, and online and device security for you and or your whole family. If you're like most people, you shop, you bank, and you work online more than ever, and Aura helps keep you safer than ever. Get a free 14-day trial over at aura.com/chatsports. That link is in the comments section, and it's in the description of today's show. Let's talk potential cuts now. How about Noah Brown? We didn't put him on our roster bubble list, but he absolutely is on that bubble. So 2 stars. Could go either way. We'll see how he plays in the preseason, how the young guys emerge. But Noah Brown is no stranger to the roster bubble in Dallas. Hell, he's been on it for pretty much every single year of his career. Every single year. He has been on that bubble. Now, the contract for Brown is pretty cheap. He is getting that vet salary benefit, but only $152.5 of his $1 million and change cap hit is guaranteed. That contract is indicative of somebody who is not a roster lock. We'll go in depth into how he could or could not make the roster, but remember, training camp is just around the corner, and we're still doing daily Cowboys videos for you guys, plus live shows on Thursday. So if you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe. We know that still about 40-50% of you guys watch the show and aren't subscribed. You're missing out on our videos every day. Go hit that big red button right now. Brown's production has been not good In his 5-year, technically, career, he did miss a season. Brown has never been someone who is always out there. He is someone who is, he's missed some time, etc., with injuries, and he's always been a depth piece for the Cowboys. He's never been I am always out there no matter what player. And for the Cowboys, they have some uncertainty when it comes to depth along the receiving room. Michael Gallup is going to miss some time. I think we pretty much have to accept that as a just reality of the situation at this point, that he's not going to be able to play every single game. And he's going to miss at least a couple games at the beginning of the season. All of that is factored in. And then there's Jalen Tolbert, James Washington, who are going to make the team. That leaves, even if we're counting Gallup, receiver 5, 6, maybe 7 if Gallup starts on the PUP list. And when you get to the back end of your roster at receiver, special teams matters a lot. That is what matters. Special teams, if you don't contribute on special teams and you're a back end of the roster guy, there has to be a very good reason as to why. Maybe it's because you're a first-year player, like Sima Fehoko was last year. But Noah Brown is a key cog of this special teamer. He was actually 5th among the returning players last year in terms of special team snaps. Luke Gifford, C.J. Goodwin, Nashawn Wright, Jeremy Sprinkle, and then Noah Brown. Now, if Fehoko, Vasher, etc. can emerge as a key part of special teams, well, then maybe there isn't room for Noah Brown. But if those guys can't contribute, that helps Brown make the 53. So make your predictions for me. Will Noah Brown make the Cowboys roster? Type in A for yes or B for no. Trysten Hill, could he be traded? I'm going to give this 1 star, not because I don't think the Cowboys will shop him, but I don't know how much value, if any, there is in Hill. This has been mentioned a couple times, most recently by Todd Archer, who says again that Hill could be a trade candidate. Now, savings, if he's cut or traded, are the same. $1.16 million if the Cowboys dump Hill after a pretty disappointing career at this point. Here's what Todd Archer wrote on Hill. Depending on how he performs in the preseason, Hill could become a trade possibility. But there doesn't appear to be a role for him beyond 2022, which makes him expendable. Frankly, I don't know if he's even got a role for this upcoming season. So 3 options, then we'll go more in depth on Hill. What do you think the Cowboys will do with him? Type K for keep, T for trade, or C for cut. Hill's production has been not good. Nowhere near what you would expect, desire, or even accept from a second-round pick. It's been a big-time disappointment from that perspective. And the depth at defensive tackle, especially if we include Chauncey Golston, Hill's on the outside looking in. Osa, Gallimore, Watkins, and then recent fatties along the defensive line in Quinton Bohanna and John Ridgeway. So I don't think he's capped barring injury. If you can find a trade partner, awesome. I'm not going to get my hopes up there. I'd say the most likely outcome is Trysten Hill gets cut, and he hopes for a change of scenery and more success somewhere other than in Dallas.